Stephen. We're starting in the United States, where the bank Barclays is facing fresh legal action.
Yeah, New York's Attorney General has accused Barclays of deceiving investors over how it was buying and selling shares for them. This centres around a system known as dark pool trading. It's a way of trading shares that participants are kept anonymous, and a lot of key information about the shares, including price, is kept secret until trades are complete. It's used by investors trading large blocks of shares who want to keep that information as discreet as possible. Now, the authorities claim that investors weren't told that they would be working close to high-frequency traders. The authorities described those as predatory. It's just the latest in a long line of legal actions for Barclays. The bank says it's taking the allegations very seriously, but something we'll be hearing a lot more about.
All right, and moving on now to the crisis in Iraq, which is also having an effect on the country's economy.
Yeah, we've seen oil prices rise in the back of the latest violence in Iraq, but it's also obviously having an effect on the country's domestic economy too. The World Bank's among the international organisations that have been working in Iraq and with the Iraqi authorities on the country's development in recent years. To discuss this and other issues in the region, I'm pleased to say we're joined by Inger Anderson, who's the Vice President of the World Bank for the Middle East and North Africa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You had been working in Iraq already on this 3-year plan for the country's development. What does this latest violence mean for your work in the country?
Well, obviously, we're very, very concerned. Iraq has, of course, seen setbacks for a decade or so, but they were really climbing out of poverty. What we were beginning to see was a climb out of poverty. Looking at poverty numbers from between 2007 to 2012, that dropped from around 22% to around 17–18%. Not enough, but a beginning trend that was very good. Mind you, I need to say that the one place where poverty was going up by 11% was in fact around the Mosul area. And of course that is, then we know, poverty, radicalization, extremism, it's a very fertile ground, and that's what we've seen. So now with this latest attacks and these latest conflicts, obviously our concern is, one, what will happen to oil production in the longer run, which we know is a backbone of the economy, but two, what will happen to services, what will happen to institutions, and what will happen to poverty. So for us, at this point, what we are saying is it's very important to find an inclusive platform, to find a path forward that can include all the various factions in the political life of the country, to ensure that really one can create jobs, create better governance and institution, and the growth that is so badly needed. At this point, the oil production, as you know, in the south is unthreatened, which is important. And we also think that there's existing capacity outside Iraq to make up for any shortfalls in the north, but the Iraqi economy is under threat.
Now, the Syrian conflict is obviously having an effect as well on the whole region. Now, you've recently been to Jordan and Lebanon. How are they coping financially? They already had so many refugees from other conflicts in the region, and now more are on their way.
First of all, I think we have to note and really sort of salute both Jordan as well as Lebanon. They've kept their borders open. What other countries would do that? In a sense, we have to look at, take Lebanon as an example, 4.5 million people, having received more than 1 million people, guests and refugees, an extraordinary situation of generosity. But obviously this puts pressure on the economy. What we've seen is, and we look at 12, 13 and projecting through 14, impact on the economy around $7.5 billion losses for Lebanon alone, or impact on the budget around 2.6 billion or so. So the Lebanese taxpayer is carrying a huge load, which is why we're saying the world has to step up on humanitarian assistance and step up on assistance to the government, because they are hosting these people, and these people really need help. So the longer run is an inclusive government, but also creating resilience at the local level of the economy so that it can withstand these shocks.
Okay, many challenges ahead there. Inger Anderson from the World Bank, thank you for joining us here on France 24. Going to move on now with a quick look at what's happening on the markets. Trading has opened in positive territory here in Europe as the trading day gets underway. Shares in Barclays, the bank, down over 2% after that story we've been talking about, that new investigation against them in the United States. Over in Asia, a sharp contraction in the US economy in the first quarter of this year that we heard about yesterday did help shares in Asia conversely. This as investors feel the Federal Reserve is likely to wait a bit longer before raising interest rates. Shona.
Stephen Carroll with the day's business news. Thank you so much for joining us on set. Now let's turn our attention to what's grabbing headlines around the world. Florence Villamino is back with us here. Welcome back, Flo. First of all, papers are continuing to focus on the unrest in Iraq that we just saw with Ms. Henderson.
That's right.